So Rabbi Isai,
We'll donate time.
we're going to delve into a very interesting sugya.
Finish root.
It'll probably take maybe 2 or 3 shiurim to appreciate this. So, in a basically, we're going to be talking about organ donation from a live person. Maybe the next series of shiurim will be from a dead person. But right now, we're going to talk about from a live person. And I touched on it once. Yeah. So, is it mutter, asur, obligatory to donate your kidney, your liver, your blood, your platelets, your marrow, all these things that are donatable? Is it a chiyuv? Is it a nice thing? Is it asur? This is what. Oh, we got to start over again? Okay, is it, right? So someone, God forbid, is sick, and he needs your kidney, or liver, or blood marrow. Are you obligated? Could you volunteer, or is it asur? Okay. So for simplicity's sake, we'll talk about where both of them are Jews, the donator and the recipient are Jews, and let's say, just for simplicity's sake, they're both male and they're both Talmidei Chachamim, just for simplicity's sake. Maybe later on we'll get involved when they have their different statuses. But before we get into this question, we have to have some background. We have to have some minimal background before we can delve into this. The first thing you have to know, is there a chiyuv or a mitzvah to save someone's life? We know there are 613 mitzvahs. Is one of those mitzvahs that you should save someone's life? Someone who's in danger. So the answer to that is very simple. It's an open pasuk in the Chumash. Lo yisam al adam reyecha. And the Gemara in Sanhedrin, which we'll see soon, says from here we learn that if someone is drowning or someone is being chased by goyim or whatever terrible situation that someone is in, you have a chiyuv to save him. Lo yisamod al dam reyecha. Lo yisam means don't stand back when you see someone's in trouble. And we'll see soon there may be other psukim also for the source for that. That's clear like day. You have the mitzvah to save someone's life. That's an obvious in Torah. Oh. But the question that we got to deal with is, what does that mitzvah entail? Okay, I have to save someone's life. At what cost to myself? Do I have to give all my money? A guy needs a life-saving operation. It costs $1 million. You have $1 million. Do you have to give it to him? Every last penny. Maybe. God says you got to save someone's life. Give him all your money. Right? Yes or no? So what does this mitzvah entail? How much do you have to give to your friend? Do you have to give all your money? Would you have to give up your limb? Do you have to give a limb to save someone's life? That's what we're going to talk about. Maybe embarrassment. Do you have to embarrass yourself to save someone's life? Maybe do you have to give your marriage, your wife? A guy says, I'll kill someone unless you divorce your wife. This is what the discussion is going to be about. What do you, definitely there's a imperative, a mitzvah, a directive, you must save your friend. But at what cost to yourself? Oh. So, let's go to case 1. Case 1, a simple case. Someone is drowning. He's going to die, 100%. You could save him, but you'll die in his stead. Someone is drowning. You happen to have asthma. You know that you will be able to save that guy. But at the end, you know that by the time you get back, you'll be dead. I can give a very simple, wait a minute, that's the question. What would you say? Oh, very simple. A guy comes and says, the guy says, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to kill you or him. Not the guy says, you murder someone else. We're not going there. That's a whole big sugya. The guy says, you don't got to do anything. You tell me, either you or him. So, what would you say? But let's deal with the drowning case, right? So someone is drowning. You know that you could save him, but you'll have to forfeit your life. Oh. So, what would I have said? If someone would have stopped me on the street, I would have said, just off the cuff, my knee-jerk reaction would be, yeah, save him, of course. It's a very simple calculation. There's going to be a dead person here. You or him, right? You or him are going to be dead. There could be a dead person and no mitzvah done, and there could be a dead person and a mitzvah done. So right? That's the question. If you leave him, no, that's the question. That's the question. What's the right thing? If you let him to die, what do we have? One dead person. If you go and save him, you did a big mitzvah, and you're dead. So the choices are, it's very simple calculus. A dead person or a dead person with a mitzvah. So that's what I would have said. I would say, of course, save him, die. Right? So this is what I would have said, that definitely you have to give up your life to save someone else. A very, very simple calculus. And that's where Moshe Feinstein says, also initially, he introduces this concept. And he says, but this is obviously patently wrong. This is patently wrong. You would not give up your life to save someone else. But the question is why? Why is it wrong? It's a very simple calculation. Someone's going to be dead anyway. You might as well have a dead guy in a mitzvah and not just a dead guy, right? Oh. So Ramosha points out that you're looking at it the wrong way. You're right. Objectively, from a bird's eye view, you're right. Someone's dead anyway. You might as well have a dead guy in a mitzvah. Just have a dead guy. That's from a third-party view. But this mitzvah is a subjective mitzvah on the Savior. The Savior is trying to save someone else, right? Subjectively, the Savior could say, there's a limit of how much I have to give to someone else. So the Savior says, yeah, it's true, there's going to be a dead guy, and now we have a dead guy with the mitzvah, but I don't want to be the dead guy. I don't want to be the dead guy. And the Savior has that right to say, hey, there's a mitzvah, but I don't have to help my friend on my expense. I don't got to give up my life for my friend. And we don't say, oh yeah, but it's a mitzvah, so anyway, there's a dead guy. Yeah, that's right, anyway, there's a dead guy. But I don't want to be the dead guy. And there's a certain limit of how much I have to do for my friend. For example, a very simple example. There are two poor guys. Dirt poor. One guy wins the lotto. So what do you say? Oh, now we have a rich guy and a poor guy. Let's make the poor guy, let's make one of the other poor guy a shaita to make life simple. You see why in a minute. So shouldn't we tell the rich guy, give all your money to the poor guy? Because now, instead of having a rich guy and a poor guy, you have a rich guy and a poor guy and a mitzvah, right? We started off with two poor guys. No one's giving any charity because they're both poor. Harry wins the lotto, right? So now we have a rich guy and a poor guy. Shouldn't we say to Harry, give all your money, give you all your money to John, and now you have a rich guy, a poor guy, and a mitzvah, right? Very simple, right? That's what I'm just saying. That's exactly what. Just like that's absurd. Why is it absurd? Because you understand, yeah, but the guy who won the lotto doesn't have an obligation to give everything to his friend. There's a limit between there's a limit of how much I have to give. Subjectively, right, objectively, that's right. The rich guy should give all the money for the poor guy. Because objectively, you have a zero-sum game. You have the same thing. You have a rich guy and a poor guy, and now you have a rich guy and a poor guy with a mitzvah. That's objective. But subjectively, that's not the way we work. There's only a certain limit. You take precedence. You're allowed to take precedence. You're allowed to think about yourself before someone else. You don't go to work every day and give your paycheck to your friend, right? That's not the way it works in life, right? Well, you do take precedence over your friend. And if it's a question of me giving something to my friend at a great cost for me, we say no. I don't got to do it. So therefore, it is clear like day. If you just think about it, it's obvious. It's clear like day. Even though Moshe actually goes through all this. So I was really delighted because originally I thought like but then he straightened me out that it's just a mistake. It's faulty thinking. That at the end of the day, someone is going to die. Your friend is drowning. You definitely do not have to give up your life to save your friend. Definitely not. Okay? Now, what about can you volunteer? You say, listen, the guy drowning is my good friend. I want to give up my life for him. I don't have to. I don't have to. But it's my subjective choice now. You're saying it's my subjective choice. I decided his life is worth more than mine. So most achronim say that's usher. It's suicide. If someone is drowning, you are not allowed to go and save him if it will cost your life. Why not? So it's hard to understand exactly the language, but what they say is you can't decide that his life is more important than yours. The God tells you how you have to think subjectively. You have to think subjectively that your life is worth more than him. And even if you have an outlier case where you decided that someone's life is more important than you, you're not, God tells you, you're not allowed to think that way. You're not allowed to give precedence to someone else over your life. You don't have that choice. So it's a funny mixture. We're saying it's all subjective. Yeah, it's subjective that it's a question of me versus him, me giving to him. But God tells you always have to think that you're more important than him. So someone is drowning, you cannot. Most achronim say, there's one or two outlier achronim. Most achronim say it's usher, it's committed suicide, it's called suicide. The famous lashon is chayecha koidmin. We'll see that Gemara soon. Your life takes precedence, and that is imperative. Your life takes precedence. So someone's drowning, you cannot say, I will take his place. I will save him even though I know he'll die. That is the law. Now, what I'm not so clear about, let's say the person who's drowning is your son. Someone's drowning, it's your son. And you know that if you go in there, you're going to die, but you'll save your son. Are you allowed to do it? So, strictly speaking, it seems that you can't. You can't even give up your life to save your son. Meaning, even if he's your son, and he's a Talmud Chacham, and he's a male, he's everything. He's everything. No, it does make a difference. Because it does make a difference because women are not. I'm not knocking women's life. It's nothing to do with that. But in the sense, women have less mitzvahs, so they go to. So they don't have to deal. In some level, in this world, not in the next world, in some level, a man's. Since man has more difficulties and more obligations, in some level he may be considered higher than a woman. In this world, in the next world, trust me, the women are much higher. In this world, it may be for technical reasons. So a person is drowning. He's your son. He's a Talmud Chacham. He's everything. He's a Gadol Hador. And you're an Am Haaretz. You're barely from. Seemingly strict halacha is you cannot give up your life. You cannot give up your life. You can't say, I'll save you and I'll take your place. Now, I do hesitate by a son. I didn't say I don't talk about it. I just hesitate that maybe a son is considered like you. It's your continuity. It's your perpetuation. So I would hesitate. Maybe a son, it's not considered you're giving up your life. It's considered like you're saving your life by saving your son. I'm not sure. But simply what I've seen is you can never give up your life to save someone else. Someone else is 100% going to die. If you save him, you'll 100% die. You can't do it. Usher, suicide, not allowed, and that's the bottom line. Okay.
Even if your son hasn't actually multiplied yet, therefore you're
irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Again, I'm not sure about the son. I mean, I know every normal father would go and, people are not going to think about it. They jump in. Everyone's going to jump in. I know. But strictly halachically speaking, this is a weird case that 100% you're going to, we'll talk about in a minute. You know 100% that if he's dying or 100 that you're dying. It's just a weird case. But in principle, this is what it seems. But now we're going to get to the normal cases. Okay. What we're going to talk about is, what about a suffix? What about someone's drowning? 100% he's dead. I mean, it's never 100%, but it's pretty much over with for the guy. If you go in, you have a 50-50 chance of both dying or both living. That's called Safek Sakana to go into a Vaday Sakana. What would you say? Some random guy is drowning, and you see there's a whirlpool, whatever it is, an eddy, whatever it is, you see 50% you'll both get saved, but if you don't do anything, 100% he'll die. So we're going to bring many sources about this. But before we do that, let's understand. I want you to understand the question. I want you to understand the question.
Sounds like a lifeguard.
What the question is like this. That is clear like day. That is what do you say?
Sounds like a lifeguard.
We'll talk about lifeguards and firemen and policemen, and I'll get to mention. We'll talk about them later. That being cheer number 3 if we ever get there. We'll talk about all these people. But before we go through a million Gemaras, we're going to be all over stories and Midrashim and Gemaras. You have to have a clear understanding of what is the issue. The issue is like this. We know there are lavs in the Torah. Don't eat chazir. Don't eat nevelis, right? A lot of lavs in the Torah, right? A lot of lavs in the Torah. We know the rules by those lavs. For example, for a lav, you got to give up all your money. You got to give up all your money. That we know. If the question is of eating a piece of pig or giving all your money, you got to give all your money, right? What about like this? A doctor says, if you eat this pig, someone's sick, someone's ill. If he eats this pig, there's a chance he'll live. Are you allowed to eat the pig? Of course. Pekuach nefesh is doiche every lav except for the three cardinal sins, the shlosh chamuras, right? Let's say a guy, the doctor's like this. You're a healthy guy, everything's good. There's 1% chance that if you don't eat the pig, you may get sick. There's a virus going around. A small chance if you don't eat the pig, you're going to die. Do you eat the pig? 100%? 100%? You're machal Shabbos for a nano of a doubt that there may be a pekuach nefesh. No question about it. There's no question about it. Anytime there's any even whiffed, even a small chash, small suspicion, you're machal Shabbos. So clearly, you'll eat the pig. So there's a 1% chance if you don't eat it, you'll die. You eat right. That's clear like day. In regular lavim, pekuach nefesh, any level of pekuach nefesh knocks out any lavim. Right? We'll talk about the limbs in a minute. So l'chayra, someone says to you, Harry's drowning. Harry's a Jew. Yaakov, Harry's drowning. Chaim's drowning. Yeah. Go save him. Yeah, but if I save him, there's a 10% chance I may die. So strictly you say, so don't do it. Because every lav, when you have lois, right? What's the lav here? Lois samen adam recha. Lois samen adam recha is the lav. That is the commandment. We said every lav gets trumped if there's any pekuach nefesh. So just like I'll eat a chazer, even though only because there's a teeny chance I will die. So if there's a 50% chance that I'll die, certainly I shouldn't save Harry. Right? That's what should be. That should be the simple calculus over here. The only thing is, maybe there's an outside svara, and this is very crucial, an outside svara that since the other guy may die, maybe over here, Lois Samadam Re'echa has a higher threshold. But the crucial thing I want you to understand over here, we don't really have a model for this. All the other lavim, you'll never risk any bit of your life for it. Ever. Lois Samadam Re'echa, what the Achronim are trying to figure out, maybe over here we'll use outside svara and say, yeah, you won't give up your life for him. That's for sure you won't give your life up for him. But maybe if it's 50% chance, maybe it makes sense. Here, you'll actually have to take the risk. In contradistinction to regular lav, where you never risk your life for regular lav, maybe in this law there is an outside svara, and the key word is outside. The key word is outside. Maybe there's an outside svara, like we said, sure you don't give up your life. Sure you don't give up your life. And we said it's maybe even suicide if you give up your life. But depending on the numbers, 50% chance, maybe you should risk your life. Because at the end of the day, it's not a regular lav. It's a lav that deals with saving someone else's life. Oh, that's the chakira. That's the chakira. That's the chakira of suffix, giving up your life. Suffix, should you enter a suffix in order to help a vadai? Okay.
When you enter a suffix, you yourself put yourself in a sakana.
That's the point. That's the point. That's the point. That's all. So let's start off right away. The Beis Yosef talks exactly about this. Who's the Beis Yosef? Rabbi Yosef Cairo. In the last Beis Yosef that he ever wrote in Torah. It's the last one in Choshen Mishpat. And I don't think I started from the beginning, but I happened to, this is the last one. And over there, after he said, I worked on the Beis Yosef for 32 years. And he must have been very happy to finally finish after 32 years. Right? We know the Beis Yosef is. He's the Shulchan Aruch. Rabbi Yosef Cairo, before he decided to write the Shulchan Aruch, he wrote the Beit Yosef. So the Beit Yosef is a much longer sefer on the Torah. And after 32 years, he condensed it and just did the bottom line is the Shulchan Aruch, right? So the Maron, Beis Yosef, Shulchan Aruch, they're all the same people, Rabbi Yosef Cairo. So the last Rabbi Yosef Cairo in Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat, 226, says he found a Hagoyis Maimoni who says you have to risk your life, you have to enter into a suffix sakana. I don't want to repeat this many times, but not vadei sakana, not where you're sure giving up your life for someone else. You do have to enter into a suffix sakana in order to save someone else, and he quotes Hagoyis HaMaimoni, and the Hagoyis HaMaimoni says, so it says in the Yerushalmi. So wow, I can't tell you how big of a chiddush this is. I know intuitively we feel this is the right thing to do, but it's a big chiddush because every lav is not that way. Every lav, you never give up any bit of your life. You don't risk anything for a lav. So this is a big chiddush that we're saying that this lav lo yisam adam re'echa is an exception to the rule, and we make new rules by lo yisam adam re'echa. A big chiddush. That is what the Beis Yosef and the guys from the Yerushalmi. Great, open and shut case, givaldik, wonderful. Go in there, save your friend, even though you have a 50% risk even though you have 50% right. Oh. But the story doesn't stop there. So Shema makes a observation. He says, the Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring this down. Meaning the Bet Yosef, which is Rabbi Yosef Cairo, in his long book, in his long work on Torah, brings down this Hagoyis Maimoni. But then when you open up a Shulchan Aruch, and the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch, they parallel. You can open up a Torah about Siman 400, so Shulchan Aruch will be also about Siman 400. They parallel each other. Beis Yosef doesn't say one word. Doesn't bring us down. The Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring it down. And the Sma says, why does it bring us down? And the Sma says, you know why does it bring it down? Because the Beit Yosef saw that, the Hagoyis HaMaimoni is quoting a Yerushalmi that you gotta suffix sakana, you gotta go into suffix sakana to save a vadei sakana. But the Rosh, the Rambam, the Rif doesn't bring it down. So the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Cairo, at the end of the day, decided not to paskin like a Hagoyis Maimoni. He doesn't bring it down because the Shulchan Aruch, which is the definitive work of the way you should act halachically, he holds we don't paskin like Hagoyis Maimoni. And that's why I have to bring it down. Okay? So this is what the Sma says. So at the end of the day, Halacha L'maisa comes out. You should not enter into suffix sakana. Do not go. At least you don't have a chiyuv. We'll talk about volunteering in a minute. At least a chiyuv you don't have to. Someone is drowning, 50% chance that you'll die. You do not have a chiyuv. You don't have to go in to try to save him. And so it is brought down in the Mishnah Berurah, black and white, suffix sakana, you do not have to. Do not, again, volunteering, we'll talk about later on, but definitely you do not have to. Oh, fine. So, there's a little bit of a problem over here. Okay, Hagoy's Maimoni, the Rosh and the Rambam, and the Rif don't pass on Hagoy's Maimoni, but Hagoy's Maimoni says it's a Yerushalmi. So you just can't knock out a Yerushalmi. You know, you can knock out a Hagoy's Maimoni, but you can't knock out a Yerushalmi. Oh, so the question is, where is this Yerushalmi? So that's the first endeavor. Where exactly is this Yerushalmi? Oh. So the Yerushalmi is in Trumas. No one knows. It took a lot of Achronim trying to figure out where the Yerushalmi is, because God's Bible doesn't Yerushalmi. But they found that a Yerushalmi in Trumas. I'm sure you've all learned this. And there's a story in Trumas that there was a rabbi who was Rav Imi probably. Rav Imi was captured. Rav Imi was captured by thugs and by bandits and by pirates. And Rabbi Yonason got up to Beit Medrash and said, everyone, let's start preparing the shrouds, the winding sheets for Rav Imi. Rabbi Yonason said, he's dead. It's over with. And Reish Lakish, who we all know has a storied history, says, no, I'm going to save him. And either they die or I die. But I'm not abandoning Rav Imi. And of course he goes in and saves, because the Shakish was like Rambo, because if you know his story, you know his background of Shakish, you know the background? Rabbi Shakish is a Baal Tshuva, a real Baal Tshuva.
Yeah, we were so sorry.
He's a real Baal Tshuva, right? So he had a illustrious past, and he was a fighter. He himself was a bandit. So Bekitzer, what do we see in that story? Black and white, green and red, that Rav Imi was in a Vadei Sakana, and Reish Lakish says, I am going to try to save him. And either I'm going to die or the bandits are going to die. There you go. And open your Yerushalmi. That you go into a suffix sakana in order to save a vadai person who is in danger. Right? Black and white, right? What? Oh, good. That's good. Simply speaking, it says that he did it. And that's the source of the Yerushalmi. Okay, great. So now we got even a bigger problem. If we did find the Yerushalmi, how in the world could the Rosh and the Rambam and the Rif not pass like Yerushalmi? You don't just argue the Yerushalmi. Oh, so how do you get out of this? You find a Bavli that argues on the Yerushalmi. That's what you're going to try to do. You're going to try to find a Bavli who argues in the Yerushalmi. That's what we're going to try to do. And that's what all the Achronim are doing. They're going to try to find different Bavlis that would seem to be not like the Yerushalmi. And then we can say, oh, that's why the Rosh didn't pass like the Rosh and the Rambam and the Rif didn't pass like the Yerushalmi, because they had a Bavli. Okay, so where are these Bavlis? Oh, so the first Bavli that we are introduced to by the Menachem Agudas Ezav is part of the first one. He lived in the time of Akiva Eger. He brings the Yerushalmi. He brings the Bavli, a famous story about Lashon Hara. Right, we all know the pasuk says that Gedaliah killed many people, and the Gemara says, right, we're talking about the same Gedaliah. The Gemara says, Gedaliah was the victim. He didn't kill anyone. It was Yishmael. I forgot his last name. Yishmael was the one who killed. So the Gemara says, yeah, but Gedaliah is to blame. It's true. Gedaliah didn't kill anyone. He was a victim. But Gedaliah was warned by Yochanan ben Kerach. He was warned by Yochanan ben Kerach, and he didn't take any heed. He wasn't advertent. He didn't take any heed to his warning. And Gedaliah said, no, Yishmael wouldn't do that. And of course, Yishmael killed him and his whole entourage. So the Gemara says, we blame Gedaliah for the deaths of the people. Because the Gemara's famous words, even though you're not allowed to accept Lashon Hara, but you have to be suspect. Whenever you hear Lashon Hara, that, very important, that may have any relevance to you or someone else to get hurt, we all know the rule is you don't accept it, but you don't be a tippish and you're wary. take it in, you say, well, this may be true, so you take the proper measurement. Right? That's the famous halacha. What's the lashon? Lishna bisha afagad the kabul boy make shlemi boy. Even though you don't accept lashon hara, but you're wary of it. You take it into account. Oh, the Gemara brings us a story. There was these fugitives who are running away from the government, and they were being accused of murder. So these fugitives running away from the government, being accused of murder, we're talking about Jews over here, and they come to Reb Tarfon, they say, Reb Tarfon, please hide us. Reb Tarfon, please hide us. We're going to get caught by the government. Reb Tarfon said, listen, I really would like to hide you, because, if I don't hide you, you're in trouble. But you know what? They're saying some pretty bad things about you. And I have to be wary, and I have to take care of myself, and therefore I'm not hiding you. That's the story. That's the story. Oh. It's not clear at all what was the issue there. Again, the fugitives came to Reb Tarfon and said, please hide us. And Reb Tarfon said, well, I would like to, but I have to be wary. Like we said, when you hear lashon hara, you have to take it into account. So I can't hide you. Sorry. Okay. What was Reb Tarfon worried about? It's not clear in the story what was the issue there. So Tosfos there says this was the issue. Reb Tarfon was worried that they were actually murderers. They actually did murder. And if he gives them harbor, and the government finds out that he gave them harbor, they'll kill Reb Tarfon. That's what Reb Tarfon was worried about. Reb Tarfon said, I don't know if you guys are murdered. And a million things can happen over here. It could be you are murderers, it could be not murderers, it could be you'll be falsely accused. A million things can happen here. But one thing I know is, if you get caught by the government and they find out that you're a murderer, and they found out that I gave you harbor, I'm dead too. Right? So therefore Reb Tarfon said, I can't save you. So what can we distill from that Gemara? This is our case. The fugitives were in big trouble. It was a vadei sakana. They were running away from the government. Reb Tarfon was a suffix sakana. Because, first of all, maybe if he hides them, maybe the government won't find them. And even if he hides them, maybe they're innocent, and maybe nothing will go wrong. But Reb Tarfon said, since there's a suffix sakana for me, I can't save you, because I will be risking my life in order to save you. So here we go, a black and white bavli, not like the Yishalmi, that you don't go into suffix sakana for a vadei sakana.
But in this case, these people are suffix people. Rabbi,
we're about to talk about this in a bit. You're a genius. He's a genius. Let's let the Nitziv, the Tzitz Eliezer, we're going to talk all about what they said. But this is our initial foray. We have a Gemara in Nida that Reb Tarfon said, I am not saving you because there's a chance I will die. If I get caught, I will die.
But this case is so different.
Wait.
This is not dying now. You're dying 5 years from now.
What's the difference?
When you jump into the water, you will die within minutes.
What's the difference?
Versus you hiding here.
What's the difference? Well, first, I don't know how you know that, but what's the difference? Bottom line is, stack it up. It could be they're not murderers. It could be they won't get caught, never get caught because Reb Tarfon will hide them. It could be they will get caught by Reb Tarfon, and then Reb Tarfon will get killed. So, and if you don't do anything, for sure they're going to get caught. So if you leave them, they're for sure basically dead. If you hide them, Reb Tarfon is a suffix sakana, and we say Reb Tarfon, I'm not doing it. The thing is, like I told you, so this is a riot. It seems it's a riot. Seemingly it's a riot. The thing is, like I said, if you look at the Gemara there, the story is not clear at all what Reb Tarfon was worried about. The truth is, Rashi has a whole different pshat than Tosfos. A whole different pshat than Tosfos. Tosfos was quoting a Shiltus, right? Shiltus of Achai, when we spoke about him. Rashi says, Reb Tarfon was no danger at all. No danger at all. There's no danger to Reb Tarfon. So what's the issue? The issue was the Tarf said, maybe you're murderers, and I'm not allowed to harbor murderers. It's also for me to harbor evil people. Nothing to do with Reb Tarfon getting killed. Nothing to do with that. Oh, meaning, really? Is that so? If there are Jews in our days, 2022, who murdered? 23. Oh my God, I gotta change my calendar. You know, right? 2023. Jews are murdered in some foreign country.
Wait, here they were.
And there's no bezdin in our days, and we don't got Eidim, we don't got Asra, we don't got all the halachas that we learn, and the government is chasing that Jew. Do you try to say that Jew or not? On the one hand, the Jew is not going to be tried by a Jewish court. There's no Sanhedrin nowadays. On the other hand, that guy is a murderer. So maybe another harbor him. So, says the Sefer Hasidim, you are not allowed to harbor any murderer even though he's being chased by a government, by a Gentile government. Odim, Oshik, Bedam, Nefesh, Ad, Bar, Yonas, Al Yit, B'chubai. That's the pasuk in Mishlei I'm sure you're familiar with. A person who is mired in blood, don't ever support him. And the same Chassidim says, where do I know that from? From Reb Tarfon. From Reb Tarfon. Meaning Reb Tarfon didn't harbor them, not because Reb Tarfon was afraid he was going to die. Nothing to do with that. It was because they're murderers, and even though they're being chased by a Gentile government.
That's not right.
Says the Yeshivat brings down a story of Yaakov Emden. There was a wonderful fellow named Ephraim, and the story was like this, that Ephraim didn't want to go to the main shul. He had a break-off minyan in, I forgot the name of where they lived. I don't think it was in Emden, actually. Emden is actually a town. It was a different place. And Ephraim said, listen, we have a little steeple here. No one has smartphones. No one talks in davening. I don't want to go to the big synagogue. You know, forget about the big synagogue. Everyone's talking. The women think it's a fashion show. I don't want to go to the big synagogue. And they forced Ephraim to close up his little steeple. The first day Ephraim goes to the big synagogue, he sees some fellow, we'll call him Charlie, smoking in the shul. And Ephraim says to Charlie, this is a shul. He wasn't smoking like a cigarette, it was like, like a hookah. He says, Charlie, what are you doing? You're in a shul. And Charlie said, Ephraim, go back to your steeple. Get out of here, Ephraim. And Ephraim said, no, they closed down the steeple. And Ephraim says, Charlie, you can't smoke in the shul. So he grabs away the hookah from Charlie. Charlie summarily takes out a gun and shoots Ephraim. Takes out a knife and kills Ephraim. So that was the end of Ephraim joining the new shul. That was the story. This is the story. This is the story in the Yeshivat time in the 1700s. Fine. And what happened was, Charlie got caught by the government for killing Ephraim. It's beautiful how the Yeshivat bemoans Ephraim. It's beautiful how he describes this poor Ephraim. And the government basically, somehow or other, Charlie got some good lawyers. And the government, Charlie was able to convince the government that he didn't kill Ephraim. Everyone knew he did. Everyone knew that Charlie killed Ephraim. Everyone knew it. But he was able to convince the government that he didn't kill Ephraim. And the government said, okay, as long as you're going to swear on your Sefer Torah that you didn't do it, we'll let you off the hook. That was the story. So Charlie's a murderer, was about to swear on the Sefer Torah to save his life. And so this Charlie was getting help by a rabbi, and the rabbi said, yeah, of course swear. Of course swear, you got to save your life. Of course swear, you got to save your life. The Gentile government can't kill you, even if you are a murderer. That's what I would have said. The Yeshivat goes to town. The Yeshivat says, Charlie's not allowed to swear, and that rabbi who's helping him is a terrible rabbi. No one is allowed he should die, and no one is allowed to give him support, and no one should harbor, no one should give him refuge, and no one should help him, and Charlie himself shouldn't swear falsely. And the Yeshivat says, how do I know that? The Gemara needs that Reb Tarfon didn't want to help. That Reb Tarfon did not want to help these murderers. Again, not like Tosfos, because Reb Tarfon was afraid for his life. Nothing to do with that. It was because like Rashi, you're not allowed to murder. Yeshivat Ohr has the same story. bunch of kids were fighting, one stabs another one, they run away, the kid gets caught, a whole famous tshuva. Now, this is, one day, we will give a share about this, because this is a big sugi about, in our days, giving over Jews to the government. Molesters, things like that, are you allowed to give them over to the government or not? This is where the reason why I have to know these tshuvas, because that's where that sugi really comes in. How much you're allowed to let the government get involved in Jewish affairs when there are problems in the Jewish community? When do you get Gentile governments involved? But because of me, I'm only bringing these wonderful stories, first of all, to entertain you, to regale you, right? But also to say that we see something like, again, what's your name? Yehuda. Something like Yehuda said, that this story of Reb Tarfon may have nothing to do with the issue of Reb Tarfon. Reb Tarfon worried that he's going to get caught and he's going to get killed and it's a suffix sakana. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with Reb Tarfon felt you can't give evil people harbor. And that's the way Rashi learns. So, there's another way out of this. It's too complicated, but there's another way out of it. You can say that no, when someone is so again, let's get it straight. According to Rashi, there's no raya. According to Tosfos, is a raya. That's coming out. Now, what Yehuda really said was, maybe even according to Tosfos, he would hold usually a suffix sakana. Someone's drowning, not his fault. You would go in to save them. But over here, these guys, even if we don't want them to get killed by the government, even if we don't want the government to get involved, but bottom line is, they are troublemakers. Bottom line is, they cause the problems themselves. So maybe, in that case, even the Yerushalmi would agree, you don't got to risk your life for people who brought the problems on themselves. That's what Yehuda said, right? So, I didn't want to get involved in that. First of all, I said, well, according to Rashi, you don't even have to come on to that. According to Rashi, the Pshat in the Gemara here has nothing to do with that. It's just you can't give harbor to murderers. Tosfos seems to argue, and he holds that you don't get the government involved. You don't get the government involved. It's best not to get the government involved, and you will save a murderer from the government. It seems. I don't want to get involved in that. But still, we can make a chilik. The bottom line is, they're bad people, and they cause it on themselves. So we do not have a raya from the Bavli against Shalmi. So back to square one. What's square one? If you have a Shalmi, that someone's drowning, you're supposed to save them, even though it's a suffix sakana for you. Rav Imi was for sure going to die. The Shakish got involved. And we tried to bring a raya from the Gemara Nida, but we saw that it's very, very iffy. So back to square one. Why in the world didn't the Rosh and the Rambam and the Rif bring down the Yerushalmi? Oh, so what do? We find another Gemara. That's what we'll do. Next Gemara. This is a pretty good proof. This is a pretty open proof. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says where the source of all of this is the Gemara in Sanhedrin, and the Gemara says we have 2 psukim to tell you that you got to save someone's life. What's the 2 psukim? How do you know that someone's drowning or he's being chased by a wild animal? You got to save them. Loi sama adam recha. Gemara says we have another pasuk from the Hashivosai Loi. Now the simple reading of that pasuk is talking about returning a lost article, but the make a drasha Hashivosai Loi means return him. If he himself was in trouble, return him. So what do you need 2 psukim for? So the Gemara says to tell you that not only do you got to save a person, you even have to pay money and hire someone else. So let's say you see someone drowning. You say, hey, Harry, what's going on over there? And Harry says, I'm drowning. I'll be fine, save me. I'm like, I don't know how to swim either. So he says, yeah, but go hire the lifeguard. He's down the block. Pay him. I'll say, leave it alone, Harry. I got to prepare a shirt. No, the luck is I got to go. I have an extra part to tell you that I have to give my own money and I have to work to hire someone else to save Harry. We're going to talk more about that Gemara in length in the future. But because of me, what does it say here? We have 2 psukim, and it says the extra pasuk is telling you, you even have to go ahead and spend your own money, and you even have to hire someone else. The lashon of the Gemara is mitrich umega agure. Now wait one cotton picking second. If you're telling me that you have to risk your life to save someone else, don't you think the Gemara should say that? If the Gemara says, hey, why do I have 2 psukim? Doesn't one suffice? So the Gemara says, oh, an extra pasuk can tell you a novelty. An extra pasuk can tell you a big chiddush. What do you think is a big chiddush? That you have to take some dollars out of your pocket and maybe go hire someone? Or that you have to go in and risk your life, 50% you're not walking out of there alive. What do you think is the big chiddush? Giving up your life. So why doesn't the Gemara say that? You know why the Gemara doesn't say it? It must be that the Bavli argues on the Yishalmi. This is a pretty good proof. There are ways out of it, like everything in life. There are ways out of it. But this is a pretty simple proof that if the Gemara is talking about, what are the requirements of lifetime with Ariacha, which is exactly what we're talking about. It's exactly what we're talking about, what the Gemara is talking about. And it doesn't say, and it says, you got to pay money and you got to hire someone else, but it doesn't say that, it should have said the bigger chiddush, you got to risk your life. So this is a pretty good proof that why we see that the Bavli is not like the Yishalmi. Okay, like I said, there are ways out of it. Oh, 45? Okay, give me 5 more minutes. The Netziv brings 2 other Gemaras. And then next week we have another couple of Gemaras, but 2 other Gemaras. The Gemara, the famous Gemara in Baba Metzia. Everyone knows the famous Gemara in Baba Metzia. There were 2 guys walking in the desert. I don't have Baba Metzia because we were learning Baba Metzia, so I couldn't find any on the shelf. Right? 2 guys you have Baba Metzia? 2 guys are walking in the desert. One guy has a flask of water. Right? So the guy who drinks is enough water only for one person. So what should he do? 2 guys are in the desert, Sahara Desert, and there's only enough water for one. What should he do? Ben Petur says, split it up, drink l'chaim together, and both die. Right? There's only enough water for one. If you split it up, they're both going to die. The Ben Petur says, make a l'chaim, and both drop dead. Rabbi Kiva says, what are you talking about? The pasuk says, Chai achicha imach. Your brother shall live with you. What does that imply? You first, right? That's what I said in the beginning of the share. It's clear like day. You don't give up your life for someone else. This may be the source. Not maybe, for sure. Chayecha koidman. Okay. So the Netziv and many other people bothered. Ben Petura is a Tana. It really doesn't. Does what Ben Petura says, does that make any sense? That Ben Petura says, split up the water and both of you die. I mean, you don't got to be like a mathematician to say one dead person is a lot better than having 2 dead people. Why would Ben Petura say, split the water and let them both die? And why even do you need a pasuk? Rabbi Kiva says, oh, I have a pasuk that you're wrong. It seems almost illogical. So the Netziv says, and other chayim say, no, you're not understanding the case. The case was like this. It wasn't that if they split up the water, they're both for sure going to die. If you split up the water, it gives them another 2 or 3 days to live. And maybe in those 2 or 3 days, they'll find an oasis. Maybe something will happen. That's what Petura said. But Petura said, if you don't split it, he's dead right away, and you'll live. That's true. But if you split it, there's a chance that you'll both live. Does this sound familiar? This is our case. Someone will vadai sakana. The one doesn't have the water, the vadai sakana. If you split it up, which is trying to save him, it's a suffix sakana. That's what's going on. Because if you split it up, maybe you'll live for another 2-3 days, and you'll find an oasis, and you'll live forever. Both of you will live forever, never, never. So Ben Petura actually says, like the Yishalmi, that what? You go into suffix sakana, split up the water, and because you may die, but you may both live. And Rabbi Kiva said, that's what the pasuk is telling you. Meaning our Chakira, according to the Siv, is a pasuk in the Torah. Our Chakira is the pasuk in the Torah. What? Do not give up, do not risk your life. Risk. Chayecha koidmin, even if it's a suffix sakana for you. So Rabbi Kiva said, you drink and let the other fellow die, even though you may have split up and then you may have both lived. But if you split it up, you may both die, so you don't have to risk your life. So the Siv says, our Chakira is an open Gemara in Baba Metzia. So now, that's one Gemara. There is another Gemara, which is a very, very difficult Gemara to understand. The Gemara in the Dharm talks about a case where there's enough water for a town and there's not enough for another town. And basically the Gemara says over there, town A needs the water for laundry, town B needs the water to live. So you would say, what's the question? Give you water to town B because they have to live. So Rabbi Yossi says there, town A shouldn't give the water for the laundry. Town A should keep the water for the laundry and town B should die. And the Gemara says why? Because when people don't do laundry, the good old days, there were germs and people would die. So that's what the Gemara says. So town A, this is the Gemara in the Dharm 81, right? Town A has water, obviously town A has water to drink too. Town A has water to drink and for laundry. Town B has nothing. The Gemara says, town A keep the water even for the laundry. Because if you don't do laundry, it's a sakana for town A. So what do you see there? Town B for sure gonna die. Not doing your laundry is a suffix sakana, right? I mean, I presume if you wear the same shirt 2 days in a row, you don't drop dead right away, right? You know, I presume it's. I can tell by a lot of yeshiva communities, you know. So says in the same. Now, the reason why this Gemara is not. There are many other ways to learn this Gemara, because it does sound a little preposterous that if you don't do your laundry, you're going to die. There are other much fighting different ways to learn it. But the Nesiv says, basically, I have two Gemaras, and we paskin there like Rabbi Yossi, we paskin there like Rabbi Kiva. So, let's put it all together here, just for today. We said we said for sure give up your life for someone else, for sure you don't have to do it. A vadai for vadai, even if that vadai, we weren't even sure if that person drowning is your son or a Talmud. Pashtus, you can't give up your life. You're not, it's awesome. Your life always, in your mind, you don't have a choice, you have to take precedence. You can never give up your life for someone else, no matter what. No matter how lousy you are and how great the other person is. The other person is a gadol door, doesn't make a difference. That's one. Then we started declaring, what about a suffix sakana? And we explicated how this is a real hefty issue. It's a real good shaila, because what you're going to say is different than other lavim. And we said that the Yishalmi and the Beis Yosef says, yes, give up your life. Suffix, don't give your life. Suffix sakana. Yes, suffix sakana. Take the risk. A big chiddush. Different than other lavim. But then we said the Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring that down. So we're trying to figure out how can the Shulchan Aruch not bring down the Yishalmi. So we marshaled four Gemaras that seem to argue on the Yishalmi. We brought the Gemara in Nida, we brought the Gemara in Sanhedrin, we brought the Gemara in Nedarim, we brought the Gemara Bava Metzia, and from these four Gemaras, it seems that the Bavli argues on Yishalmi and says you're not allowed to, you're not mechuyev. We could talk about volunteering. That's already going to be complicated. But at least you don't have to volunteer. Take a risk, a suffix zakana to help a vadai. And hence, the Mishnah Berurah actually says exactly this. You do not have to, again, I'm not talking about volunteering, you do not have to go to a suffix zakana in order for a vadai zakana. And that seems to be halacha l'maisa. How much time? Okay, so next week we'll go further, bring other rayas, but at least we should come out with something. Mr. Berurah says, you do not risk your life, you don't have to risk your life for someone else. Next week we'll talk about the numbers. Let's say the numbers are 20% risk. Maybe that'll be different. Maybe 50-50, don't risk your life. You don't have to risk your life. Maybe if the numbers are lower, it's different. We're going to go through all that. We're going to talk about limbs, and we're going to talk about blood and platelets and many other things. Hopefully we'll continue this next week.